It's always such a burst of joy to see you all come in. Just imagining that web from different places across the earth. Thank you for joining us for this full moon meditation. Just we'll give it a few more moments. Still have some folks coming in. Okay, seems like most everyone has made it in. Welcome everyone to another full moon gathering where we come together around this practice of the earth treasure vases being summoned by the earth. Initially, Cynthia having received this calling, holding the intention of bringing healing and collective awakening to the earth, bringing protection. And so my name is Rasul. I am one of the co-weavers sitting at the center of this mandala. And it is my pleasure and honor to greet you on this day, celebrating Wesak, which we will hear from Cynthia about. And I'm calling in from Colombia, from South America, Colombia. And really such a joy to be here today. Today we will be focusing on two earth treasure vases. Mainly, we will first hear from the British Columbia Vase and her stewards, Maggy Kaplan and Olivia Fermi, who have recently buried the vase near Earth Day. And so we will hear what that journey was like. We will get to really receive their story as part of this time where we weave ancient and future through the art of storytelling, setting these new stories to bring us forward into the future that we are calling into existence together. And then after the meditation, we will be listening from Cetacea, an earth treasure vase that is dedicated to our whale relatives, and from her stewards, Osa Arkin, Joan Deppe, and Geni Stevens. And so before I continue, I'd like to welcome in Cynthia Jors, who will set us further into this moment around Wesak and around the practice.
Thank you so much, Rasul. It's wonderful to be here once again and to see so many beautiful faces. I love the moment when we all assemble and come into this virtual circle together under the light of the full moon, which is always such a potent time. It's why we selected the full moon as a time for us to meet every month many, many years ago, over 30 years ago, to do this practice, because it's said by many spiritual traditions that the time of the full moon really enhances and multiplies our intentions for for good and beauty and peace in the world. So the light of the moon facilitates that, you know. It's a special moment every single month, and it's a shared moment. No matter where we are in the world, the full moon is full. And so we honor this beautiful being that sheds her light on us here on planet Earth. This practice, as most of you know, came from an old lama living in a cave in Nepal that I met in 1990. And I had this incredible opportunity to ask a question of the proverbial old wise man in the cave. And I like to recount this every single month, really, because it's such an incredible story and was such a unique and amazing experience, mythic level, archetypal level experience to have this chance, you know, and to have the question of our times really come to me, which, you know, I was not at all sure what I should ask the old Lama, but what came was, what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth? And that is still the question that we can ask and be in service to in these times. So that is our motivation. That is why we're here. That is what this practice is all about. The practice itself comes from the Tibetan tradition. It's a terma, a teaching that was revealed by Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava in the 8th century, but hidden for these times, to be revealed in the times when this practice would be needed, as many of the teachings of Guru Rinpoche were. And there were special lamas and teachers and masters who had the capacity and still do to reveal these teachings at the time that they're needed and bring them forward for us today. So we're really blessed, and this is something that I've been humbled to carry out and then to share with all of you and so many people all around the world, which has been the focus of my life. Yeah, I'm just going to take a pause there because it's a lot and it's amazing. And I'm so grateful every time we meet, you know, to see the way in which this practice is going out to feed the spirit of what we want to see in the world today. And we're so lucky tonight because, or today, wherever you are in the world of time, we have two treasure vases that we're celebrating, one that was just buried and one that is just about to be buried. And so these little clay pots are going out in a big way right now. As we speak, there just seems to be a lot of activity with so many being stewarded. And I just want to say how moved I was to read the newsletter. I hope most of you are receiving our newsletter before the full moon because it tells the story of what we focus on and gives our stewards a chance to really share with us what this journey has been about. And it's so moving. It's so moving. So thank you to Olivia and Maggie in British Columbia, and to Osa and Joan and I know they're Geni, yeah, for your incredible stories and stewardships. Looking forward to sharing more with you as the night proceeds. But this particular day is what we call Wesak in the Buddhist tradition, and it's the day that celebrates all three: the full moon in May, the birth, the enlightenment, and the passing away of Buddha Shakyamuni, who apparently was born and became enlightened and also passed away on the full moon of May. And it's a time when the Buddhist world really focuses a lot of intention because of the power of all the prayers that are being made and the expressions of gratitude that are generating a collective intention for the benefit of all beings. And of course, that was what the life of the Buddha was all about. So we practice especially strongly on this particular day. And so we're so, you know, happy to gather with these treasure vases and with all of you so that we can harness the energy of this particular full moon of Vesak to like give wings to our prayers, our meditations, and our intentions for the benefit of all beings. So welcome everybody who's new here. I'm seeing people that I haven't seen before, and it is such a joy to have you with us. And for those of you who have been here many times, thank you so much for returning, over and over. And I hope that this gathering will nourish the intentions that each of us holds in our deepest heart of hearts for the healing, the protection, and the renewal of this beautiful blue-green planet that we call home, that we care about so much. And so let's pour our hearts out. Let's just pour our hearts out into this incredible web of life and web of light that we will invoke in the meditation. So over to you, Rasul, in Colombia. And just to say, when it does come to the sharing after the meditation, if you feel to share, it's so nice to hear where you're calling from. So let us know that in addition to whatever reflections or prayers or intentions you'd like to share. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Cynthia. So now it is my honor and pleasure to welcome Olivia, Fermi, and Maggy Kaplan, who have recently fulfilled the burial of the vase that they have been accompanying for a few years now. And so coming in.
You seem to be muted, Olivia.
I want to thank you. I want to start by sharing a land acknowledgement first for British Columbia and then for where Maggy and I live. So our base is dedicated to British Columbia. And we started our journey meeting with a friend, a spiritual friend who is Indigenous, and she helped me to craft this acknowledgement. BC is unique in its relationships with First Nations and Indigenous peoples. There are 198 First Nations in BC, out of a total of 630 in all of Canada. 95% of BC's land, 95%, is on unceded First Nations territories, which means that First Nations people never agreed to give up nor sign away their lands to the Crown or Canada. We acknowledge with respect the generous spirit of the land and the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, on whose traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories we are. We remember that it takes so much more than an acknowledgement to bring about change. It takes clarity, humility, and courage to recognize our own role in ongoing systems of colonization. Part of the intention of this practice is to ease the way to making true reconciliation and decolonization happen by connecting us to each other in our essential humanness and to all our relations on our planet through our caring.
Thank you, and it is such an honor to be here on this particular full moon. Very appreciative. I'm going to read the intentions of our vase, and I will say that these are dynamic intentions. They have grown, they've morphed, they've changed as we've realized more as we've journeyed with the vase. Here they are. Our intention is for the BC Vase's journey and planting to unfold in an honorable and respectful way for the good of all. Healing our earth and healing our relationships can't be separated. The Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Practice is dedicated to bringing healing and protection to the regions where the vases are planted. And in addition, we would like to dedicate the Earth Treasure Vase for British Columbia to healing the intergenerational trauma of the Indian residential school genocide, to ongoing decolonization within ourselves and in the structures and systems of our society for the benefit and dignity of all, to supporting Indigenous and non-Indigenous defenders of land, water, and all of our animal and plant relations, to allying with each other with respect and for the benefit of Earth and all our relations, including continually educating ourselves, And of course, adding another vital light to the Earth Treasure Vase Gaia Mandala, which is now happening. So this is a picture of an Indian residential school in Canada. There were many of these across Canada, and I believe across the United States as well, and possibly in other places. They were instituted by the government of Canada and run mostly by the Catholic Church, by a few of the Protestant churches, but the large majority of them were run by the Catholic Church, and they were really grim places. The point was to kill the Indian and save the child, but in fact, a lot of children were killed. And in May of 2021, before I ever knew about the Earth Treasure Vase practice, although Olivia did, ground penetrating radar had uncovered and confirmed the unmarked graves, mass unmarked graves of children who had died. It started out here in British Columbia with the residential school grounds at Kamloops, British Columbia, and it went on across Canada throughout the summer to uncover, I think in Kamloops there were 215 graves found, probably more that weren't found, and across Canada there were a couple of thousand by the time the summer was over. They're still looking, and well, we were, I would say, numbed with horror at it. Although I think what shocked me even more was the fact that I kind of knew about it, but somehow or other it hadn't taken root in my mind that it had actually happened that way. But that's the background of how we came to ask to steward a vase for British Columbia.
So in 2017, this beautiful reconciliation totem pole, it's a Haida pole, was raised at the University of British Columbia in the spring. And a few months later, I moved to campus, and I actually live like a 1-minute walk from this totem pole. And so I pass by every day, or almost every day. And both Maggie and I feel that this totem pole embodies the intentions for the vase. And I just want to say a little bit more about, a little bit more background to add to what Maggie shared is, I grew up on the south side of Chicago during the rise of Black Power in a truly multicultural neighborhood. And my parents and my grandparents were adamant about equalities of all people. And so from a young age, I was seeing that, people aren't being treated equally. There is racism, there is classism. And I think that helped prepare me for this journey that Maggie and I shared. The base of the totem pole shows pre-contact. So this is a shaman who lets the band know when it's safe to harvest the salmon, and they always let some of the stronger salmon go ahead. This is the middle of the totem pole that shows the residential schools.
Yeah, and when I said that I had known but didn't really know, back in 2016, the year before the totem pole came to University of British Columbia, I happened to be up in Haida Gwaii, where the carver James Hart was working on the pole. And I was walking around in the village of Masset, and there on a lawn was this huge totem pole laid out on sawhorses. And I wandered over and looked at it. And after a little while, James Hart came out of his house wondering what this white woman was doing, wandering around his property, I'm sure. And I was kind of taken aback. It was not one of my finest moments, but I asked him what this building was in the middle of the pole. And he said, that's the residential school. And then he said, and those nails, you may be able to see hundreds of copper nails that are nailed into the sides of the school there. They represent all the children who had died in those schools. And that was the end of our conversation.
Yeah, and for me in 2017, when I came to campus and I learned about the reconciliation pole, and there were many exhibits on campus showing the history, it was really a decolonizing moment for me. This is the top of the pole. So the pole's in thirds. I showed you pre-contact, the residential schools, and then the top of the pole is a vision for moving together with reconciliation and moving together in a new way. And there's two canoes here, a Western canoe and a traditional canoe. And of course, the top of the pole is the eagle. This is James Hart, who Maggie mentioned, who was the master carver for the pole. And in April 2022, I was walking by one day and I saw a man carving, and he was doing some finishing touches, and I realized it was James Hart. And so I went and I had a little conversation with him, and I was admiring the pole and the movement of the pole and the healing movement of it. And he just said to me, we were standing kind of both looking at the pole, and he said to me, it's very difficult. And I felt the weight of his words. It brings tears to my eyes. And I didn't ask him what he meant. I felt what he was saying was that, yeah, the pole is here, but the external systems aren't changing. And so we're really aware of that on our journey, that we're offering healing prayers, and we have yet to see some of the external systems change. Some systems are changing. Museums are changing. Some educational systems are changing, but there's a lot more change that needs to happen. So after a beautiful dedication ceremony online, our friend Alan, who's also in Diamond Approach, Maggie and I know each other through the Diamond Approach spiritual community, and Alan is an old friend of mine through the same community. He brought the vase to us from Colorado, where Laura Lynn had been tending her. And I had pretty severe long COVID at that point. I was suffering from pretty major fatigue. And through most of the vase's journey, Maggie was carrying her and doing ceremony with her. And I've been doing more of the behind the scenes. Though I did go to some of the in-person ones. So I wanted to stop sharing for a minute to share a vision that I had that night after we received the vase. So before I went to bed, I held her, and I saw energy lines going through all of British Columbia. And then I went to sleep, and I woke up around 3 a.m. and I felt all this Shakti energy. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to go with this. And I saw green, and I saw green and blue, and then I saw the earth. And then the earth dissolved, and I saw a mountain range, which I thought was in Nepal. And then everything went black. And then there was Charak Rinpoche in his cave as like an energy presence. And it was really one of the most powerful visions I've ever had. And he was welcoming me into the cave with the vase. And it went on for about 20 minutes. I was like half asleep, half awake. And I just felt this really deep, deep teaching transmission that he was giving me. And I feel so grateful for that experience. It was like the vase and the cave were flowing between each other, and it was like energy waves flowing. And so I just felt more and more imbued. And then that dissolved. Well, it didn't really dissolve, it shifted. And then Cynthia, you were there, and you were in front of me, kind of like that, looking into the cave. And from that part of the vision, I felt I was learning a devotional attitude from you of how to be with the vase. And then the next part pointed me to a practice a traditional Tibetan Buddhist practice called the Four Immeasurables that I've been working with, that's helped me to internalize the energy of the vase. Because as I said, with the COVID, getting over the long COVID, a lot of the journey for me has been internal.
Here we are at the welcoming of the vase. Mahara, who is our friend and Tsleil-Waututh elder. Tsleil-Waututh people are the ones on whose land we welcomed the vase and also buried her. The piece of land is called Wayawachin, which means facing the wind. And couple of things I want to say about that welcoming. One is that after we did the meditation, as we passed the vase around, everybody in the circle felt the wind coming from the vase. The vase had taken in the wind that she was facing on this land. It wasn't a particularly windy day, but there was wind coming from the vase. And the other thing that was really, really struck me was how, as people put their prayers into the vase, they were accepted so gracefully. And at the same time, they were also given to everybody in the circle in a reciprocal fashion. So I was really struck by how much acceptance and giving was happening with the vase. I fell in love with her pretty well from the first moment I held her. She was like another child to me. And there's a feeling of preciousness that I hold in my heart.
So we did a few Zoom ceremonies. We did one with our Diamond Approach community, one with the Living Interface Sanctuary, and one with the Spec Elders. And just because of time, I won't go into a lot of detail, but they were very meaningful. There were people that we knew, people that we didn't know, and people offered beautiful prayers. We also did a ceremony with 3 of us at the reconciliation pole shortly after we got the vase, because we just wanted to make that connection with the reconciliation pole and the vase. And I remember again feeling a really strong energy holding the vase at the pole.
And somewhere at this point, I had a very meaningful realization. I think it happened in the summer of 2023, actually, it was just last summer, during an inquiry, which is one of the spiritual practices of the Diamond Approach, where I got in touch with my deep connection to the genocide of my own people. And this is the Jewish people during the Holocaust, primarily. Of course, I'd known about it. Everybody knew about the Holocaust, but I had never actually allowed it into my heart. And there was a deep, deep well of grief for me that came up. And the next thing that happened a little while later was we met with the our steward circle. And I didn't know how to talk about this experience. And I'm looking at you, Elizabeth Christine, you're smiling just like you did that day, because you had been saying from the beginning, there was some connection missing around our taking on this job of trying to heal the trauma of the residential school genocide when we weren't really connecting with something. Well, here we go. There was a very deep connection. I didn't know how to speak of it. In the same way I didn't know how to speak to James Hart when I met him. I didn't know how to, words didn't form around the horror I felt when I learned about what had actually happened at these residential schools. I didn't know how to speak of the grief that I was connecting with around the Jewish genocide. And I realize now the reason for that is we were never supposed to talk about it. We were never supposed to talk about anything bad in my family that happened to Jewish people, to the people who weren't Jewish. So I grew up with a feeling of shame, not so much about being Jewish, but about talking about it. But what this did eventually, the stewardship circle was so supportive and so loving and so holding that my heart expanded and openings started to happen around the whole journey with the vase. And the first thing that happened was I got invited by Carol, who's on the left in the green shirt there. She's also the person who hosted one of our online ceremonies, the Spec Elders, to go to a repair cafe and be elders there. And none of us really knew what that meant. And I suggested that I bring the vase, which is probably not a suggestion I would have made before this other realization that I had. And it was quite wonderful to be there with her because people were coming in. It was like it was Buddha in the marketplace. Basically, it was a very, very busy setting. People were coming in with everything from their torn jeans to their vacuum cleaners to their computers to be fixed. And some of the fixing, I guess, that was to be done had to do with meeting the vase. One of the people who came to the vase and wanted to know what she was a woman who happened to be a minister at the Union Gospel Mission and was working with women with drug addictions, many of whom were Indigenous. And she herself was partly Indigenous. And she spent time with the vase, and it was very obvious that there was quite a bit of healing and repair for her as she did that. Another woman was working on the sewing machine, and she got so tired and she needed food and she needed repair. And I walked over to her with the vase, and she spent some time with it and looked at me and just said, thank you. And another woman looked at the vase and she said, oh, that looks like something from my country. It turned out she was from India. And as she held the vase, you could see a kind of connection with her homeland that was very, very moving. And then, where are we now?
October 7th.
October 7th happened. Yes. So speaking again of the Jewish genocide, October 7th happened, and I really know now what they mean by re-traumatization because I lived in a state of being re-traumatized for about a week. Feelings of murderous rage. I'm sure all sorts of things came up for people. And as time went on, and it was very clear that the Israeli government was going to unleash a terrific Holocaust of its own on Gaza, that shifted for me. And at the same time, I was planning a pilgrimage with the Vase to Vancouver Island, which is off the coast of the mainland of British Columbia, big long island. And I was going to go to 3 places where I had connections. This is the first one. This is in Victoria, which is on the traditional lands of the Sanghees, the Esquimalt, and Lekwungen people, in the home of Owl and Prairie, who are off on the left there. And it was Owl's mom, Gay 10, who helped put this one together. Quite a few people from our Diamond Approach Sangha were here. And yeah, it was a lovely gathering. And then we went to Duncan, which is on the land of Cowichan people, and I think possibly some others. But you'll see here a labyrinth, and you'll also see Lynn, who's in our Sangha here. Lynn was the person who put together this particular ceremony. She had helped to build that labyrinth on her friend Penny's land. And in the center of the labyrinth, she had taken a glass vessel and placed some blessings in it and buried it in the center of the labyrinth. And her hope was that we could make a connection between our vase and that vessel, which was in the center of the labyrinth. So in silence, we walked the labyrinth and came up with a ceremony to facilitate that meeting. That was quite beautiful. After which we went back into the house and had tea and did the regular ceremony with the vase. And there's Lynn putting her blessings into the vase. And then we went to Nanaimo, where the traditional lands belong to Snuneymuxw and Snanos, the Coast Salish people. This is Peter, the husband of our host Gazina, who was about to make a musical offering. He's a violist. And this was, I think, the gathering with the most diversity of people. We had an 8-year-old and a lot of us elders and more men than in most other gatherings. And yeah, it was also very, very moving.
Then in November, we planned a ceremony at the local Shambhala Center, Tibetan Buddhist Center. And my friend Diane, who's there in the pink, she organized it with the climate change group. But I was still having long COVID symptoms, and I wasn't sure that I could be there. So Maggie was planning to lead it. And I also want to give a shout out to our steward circle here, because their holding has helped me heal from that and get my energy back and let go of the brain fog. So anyways, Maggie got sick a couple days before, and that kind of catalyzed me to jump in and lead the ceremony. So it was a real coming out for me in my life with the long COVID to be able to do the ceremony. So there's my friend Diane, and Robin is he's like 1/16 First Nations, but he's adopted into a First Nations tribe. So he's actually a First Nations elder. And he brought a lot to our pilgrimage, a lot of advice, a lot of encouragement. He brought greetings from the Tahltan territories, which is way up north in British Columbia. Then in this past February, there was an opportunity to go to a ceremonial fire, and it was an open invitation from Musqueam, who are one of the peoples that are on the lands where we live, and specifically at UBC where I live. And again, I was really hesitant, but the day turned out to be sunny, and Maggie and I we met Robin there, and we asked permission there was like a big sharing circle, and we asked permission if we could talk about the vase. We'd brought the vase with us, and Maggie led us in singing the Om Gaya Mandala chant, which was really lovely. It was really, really lovely to share the vase in an open circle. And at the end, she was held by one of the leaders, Lana, who imbued the spirit of this land into the vase. Mm-hmm. And the kind of sweetness and humility and strength and kindness just was emanating out of the vase after that. Then on April 20th, we met to seal the vase, and then the next day we buried her. And so you can see everybody here except Aveline. Sorry, Aveline, you're not in the picture.
She's taking the picture.
She's taking the picture, yeah. So there's Marita, who came up from Seattle, who's one of our stewards, Sharon, who's Maggie's partner, me, Mahara, Maggie, and I think Lynn is there. It's a little hard for me to see. And Lynn brought a labyrinth for each of us, which was really sweet.
Can I talk about the box?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you'll see the box. That is a bentwood cedar box, which is a traditional container that was made by the Indigenous people all over British Columbia. And the beautiful paintings on it are also traditional for this area. It was originally made by a Squamish artist for my friend Jennifer's husband's ashes. Bob was his name, and he had spent some time in prison and got to know a whole lot of Indigenous guys who are disproportionately represented in places like that, and devoted his life to working with them and for them. And when he died, that box held his ashes. And when his ashes were scattered finally by Jennifer, and I told her about the vase project, she said, oh, Bob would really want the box that held his ashes to hold the vase.
So we did one last full moon ceremony with those of us gathered to seal the vase. And I just love these pictures of Maggie. I think they speak for themselves. So I think we've just finished reading the meditation, and we're about to share the vase around the circle. And in this picture, Marita and Maggie are putting the wax around the cork of the vase, and I'm drumming. And here you can see the vase, the cork has been sealed. And here we're putting the claws on for the last time. And there's the cord. And we're just sealing the cord to the top of the vase. And then we put her in the box with all the extra offerings. And we're wrapping her with copper wire. And I had this idea of doing it in a spiral, but that didn't work. So we made this kind of crazy organic pattern instead. And I didn't actually, oh wait. And then there was a rainbow. This was so cool. After sealing the vase and eating dinner, we opened the blinds and we discovered this full rainbow. So we felt like the whole ceiling felt really blessed, but with the rainbow, it just added that little bit of magic. And Maggie's going to tell you about the burial, but I just wanted to say I wasn't there because, again, because of my health, I was cautious. And so I went with Diane to the reconciliation pole, and Carol texted me right what was going on. So we did prayers at the reconciliation pole while the vase was being buried.
Yeah, and here's our group. We had 13 people at the burial. We also had 13 people when the vase was welcomed. And we're in basically the same location, except the burial was more in the woods. I had invited my grandson, who's standing there with a shovel, who invited his friend, and Carol invited her godson, who's off on the left there, with his girlfriend, and the 4 young people dug the hole for us. And they were just like angels sent from some celestial place. We went in silence, they worked in silence, and somehow or other communicated with one another how to do the digging and how the place, everything just went so perfectly. Yeah. And there they are digging. Oops. And at the end, we put the box with the vase in it in the hole and covered her with her earth. And Mahara and Rebecca, her stepdaughter, is playing the drum. Mahara sang a beautiful song that came from her family in the Tsleil-Waututh language that has been adopted by a number of Coast Salish groups as a sort of anthem. And that was how we ended the burial.
Yeah, so we're just really, really grateful for this journey and how we were supported. Yeah, we want to thank the Sangha and thank Cynthia and thank our steward circle.
And thank our vase, because I got so much from this vase. The vase offered so many gifts to me. Everything that was needed was provided on all the journeys we went on together, with humility and clarity and compassion and love. And it was, such a gift. Such a gift to be a steward of this
Thank
vase.
you so much.
Mm.
Yeah. Such beautiful stewardship. Thank you, both of you, Olivia and Maggie, for the love and caring that you brought to this adventure and the dedication and seeing it through in such a tender, beautiful, complete way. Really, really so beautiful to witness and to see and to have been in support of, and so glad. You know, we sometimes talk about the core wounds of the earth that need to be healed if we're talking about healing for Gaia. And this is, you know, you identified one of those deep core wounds that I'm so grateful to you for having planted all these prayers with those intentions in that land. So thank you. Rasul, are we moving now in the direction of the meditation?
Yes, we are. Before we move into the meditation, thank you, Cynthia. I just wanted to name that following the meditation, we will welcome Cetacea, an earth treasure vase dedicated to the whales, alongside Cetacea stewards, Osa, Joan, and Geni. And they will share with us about Cetacea, and during our circle to offer blessings and prayers, we will be able to pour these upon Cetacea, who's nearing burial around June 5th, June 6th. And thank you, Olivia and Maggie. Thank you so much. So good to hear of your devoted stewardship. Thank you. And so now we would like to welcome you to turn your cameras off as we move into the meditation.
But don't go away. When we're done with the meditation, we'll all come back to the circle and share our faces and our voices together. So let's start with the sound of the bell, just to bring us into the present moment and the beginning of the meditation. With each sound, taking a deep, slow in-breath and a deep, slow out-breath. Feeling your body relax. With each sound of the bell. Entering more and more fully into this present moment. Letting go of all of the thoughts of the past and the concerns about the future. And just arriving with each breath more and more fully with our intentions on this profound full moon of Wesak to be of benefit for the whole earth and all beings. And as you continue to breathe in and out, deep and slow, sense the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and a sense of calm, feeling your roots reaching deep down into the earth, breathing in and breathing out, drawing up through your taproot those nourishing energies and life force of Mother Earth, which she gives us so generously. And sensing the deep communion that is available when we stop for a few moments and just give our attention over to this precious human life that we've been given in deep relationship to the nourishing energies of Mother Earth who sustains us. And from this place of feeling rooted and grounded, let's open to the light from above, the feeling of warmth from the sun and the moon and the stars. As we connect to the vast energies of the entire cosmos, feeling the expansiveness of all of that, rooted below, expanded and connected above, in this present moment, breathing, just breathing, conspiring. And as we conspire, let's feel our connection to the place where we each sit on the planet right now. Being aware of our relationship to the very soil and stones, the waterways and forests, the flowers, and all of the communities of life who call these habitats their home. That we share these habitats with, who also receive stability and nourishment from Mother Earth, from the warmth of the sun and the moon. See ourselves connected in this vast web of life. And now let's acknowledge those who have come before, the ancestors of the original indigenous peoples of all of the lands we inhabit, each of us around this circle. Those who have been in sacred relationship with the land for countless generations. Thanking them and acknowledging too the future ancestors of this land who will continue to hold our lands as sacred for generations to come. May they all humbly bless us. May we humbly invite them to bless us and our practice and all of our intentions. Giving thanks.
In gratitude, let us also call upon all of our sources of inspiration, our own ancestors, elders, teachers, and guides, lineage masters, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and wisdom beings that we feel connected to, and invite them all to be present with us now. Welcome humbly their blessings to enter us and everyone who is present for this meditation. And let us become receptive. Open our vessels to receive of their love, support, guidance, healing, and clarity. As this blessing enters our circle and each of us, may we feel this love and caring coming all the way into our deepest heart of hearts. And let us breathe it in. And breathing out, send this love to everyone who is present in our circle. Breathing in, receiving the love that is being sent. Breathing out, sending. Like the ebbing tides, like the flowing waves, washing blessings amongst us in this circle. Gradually expanding our focus to include all of our friends, families, all of our allies, our community, all of those who this practice may serve. Let us imagine our circle gradually growing from our home to our neighborhoods, bioregions, countries, continents, to include all beings in all places everywhere, embracing the whole planet with our love. With this great web that holds us, breathing in and breathing out with Gaia.
And now, with this feeling of rootedness below and expansiveness above, and the waves of love flowing from our hearts, let's turn our awareness to those who are suffering, the places where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, droughts or floods or fires, wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in this suffering. And on the out breath, send your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, of her people, and of all life all around the whole planet. Imagine that where there is hunger, great nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there is thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are built. Where there is war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. And aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger, or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration as you hear the land sing out in harmony. And see the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely, seeing the beauty and riches of nature flowering into abundance for the sustenance of life, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet we call home.
As we hold this glowing vision of Mother Earth, we call into our awareness the presence of the earth treasure vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted all around the world. Let us imagine that together we pour our love and caring in the form of light into each and every little clay pot buried in the body of Mother Earth, filling each vase with our deepest prayers and blessings for healing. Let us see each earth treasure vase radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it is needed, in whatever form it is needed. See the light like a rainbow streaming forth from each of the vases. White, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. And breathing in and breathing out, allow the feeling of caring and compassion in your heart to grow. Sending that love out in the form of harmonizing light to all the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the earth treasure vases that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future.
Beginning at the center of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Mandala in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north at the source of the Rio Grande River in Creede, Colorado. To the south at the mouth of the Rio Grande at the Gulf of Mexico. To the east on top of Mount Baldy above Santa Fe, and to the west on Mount Chacoma, known as Tsikamu, to the Tewa people of New Mexico, the custodians of the sacred lands where this mandala began. And now, having established the center and the four directions of this global healing mandala of locations where treasure vases have been planted, imagine this mandala growing in every direction to the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York, to the Headwaters Old Growth Redwood Forest in Northern California, the Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca in Mexico, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Jakova, Kosovo, the Lawrence Laboratory at the University of California in Berkeley, the Taodum Forest on the border of Thailand and Burma, the village of Ein Karam in Israel, Palestine, Hiroshima, Japan, the cloisters in New York City after 9/11, the Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, the Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California, the source of the Ganges in India, the source of the Amazon in Peru, the Southern Pacific Ocean, 93 feet down in Agum Atoll, the Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea, the Arctic Circle, Alaska, the Kogi Lands in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Colombia, Telewoyon Village, Lofa County, Voinjima District, Liberia, West Africa, the Blyder River Canyon, Limpopo Province, South Africa, the Giza Plateau in Egypt, Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii, the Itombwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, Avebury, England, Bindaluk, Jawan Country, Catherine, Northern Territory, Australia.
And the second generation of Earth Treasure Vases in Gabbermong Armland, Australia, the Mackenzie King Park, Ottawa River Valley, Ottawa Gatineau, Canada, the original garden in Findhorn, Scotland, the Great Stupa of Buddhanath in Kathmandu, Nepal, the Flint Hills of Kansas in the heartland of America, the Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley, California, the Valles Caldera of northern New Mexico, Purnululu Bungle Bungles, the Kimberleys, Australia, the village of Utqiagvik at the edge of the sea in northernmost Arctic Alaska, the Hanford Nuclear Reservation on the shores of the Columbia River in the state of Washington, Mount Ryosen above Fukushima, Japan, back to where it all began at the cave hermitage of Sharak, Nepal, to Margibi County, Liberia, in the base of an old ironbark tree in Dithiul Mountain, in the Budawang wilderness of Walbanja country, Yuan Nation, southeastern Australia, and to our root temple, Tolu Tarling Monastery in Nepal, the Munzur Valley in Turkey, Serpent Mound in Ohio, the Ashaninka spiritual portal, Campa do Rio Amonea, indigenous land, Acre, Brazilian Amazon, bordering Peru, the Border Peace School, Sherawan, the militarized zone between North and South Korea, in Nabusimake, Arhuaco territory in Colombia, in Akaroa Te Wapunamu, South Island, Aotearoa, New Zealand, on Mount Parnassus, above Delphi in Greece, on Sibyl Mountain, Lamarck region, Italy, in Wewawitchin, facing the Wincates Park, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and in the Sylvan Wood, near a creek that flows into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C.
and the third generation of Earth treasure vases in Antarctica, the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland, the Saugatuck Dunes on Lake Michigan in the United States, Highwood Valley in the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, Canada, the southeastern United States, Turtle Island, Shakanoga, Tennessee, on the shores of Lake Washington in Kirkland, Washington, near the Life Care Center where COVID began in the US, and in the Permian Basin of New Mexico. Let's also include the Earth treasure vases being stewarded now, 12 second-generation vases and 16 third-generation vases, and 5 second-generation vases still awaiting their destination and dedication, who rest on the altar with the mother vase. So once again, after all that we've heard all around the world, please take another deep, slow in-breath and deep, slow out-breath. And imagine all that is needed to relieve the suffering of the earth can be seen as light radiating out from each of these earth treasure vases all around the whole planet in every direction. Imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases, filling the whole global earth treasure vase mandala with the powerful energies of our love and our caring. See this healing force traveling through all the song lines and ley lines and meridians of the earth, flowing into each location on the global mandala. See the mandala like a web of light embracing the whole planet. Feel the light flowing back and forth like waves from your heart to the earth treasure vases, energizing them and adding vitality and brilliance to the light that is then flowing out to the whole area in the sphere of influence of each of the earth treasure vases.
And now imagine this light flowing into your own location, your special spot in nature, and feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala activating your node on the global healing mandala and entering you as a holy vessel. And finally, let us focus on the British Columbia, Canada vase, sending our blessings and support in the form of light to embrace it, now having been planted there. Embracing it with all of our prayers, our united blessings and offerings for the realization of its purpose. Let us focus our concentration one-pointedly on bringing healing and protection, peace and harmony to British Columbia and to the whole earth for all time. Let us see the healing and protection radiating out from all the vases around the earth in waves of light flowing back and forth endlessly. And imagine that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored.
And now recognizing the great interconnected web of life on earth, of which we are each a part. Let's give thanks for this precious, sacred time and pray that the compassion and peace is our true condition may bring supreme happiness and benefit to the earth and to all beings. And with another deep, slow in-breath and deep, slow out-breath, let's bring our awareness back into our body, back into the room that we're in, feet on the floor, grounded on the earth, in our own location, wiggling our toes and opening our eyes, and returning to the circle for sharing our prayers and intentions and offerings.
Thank you, Julian. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us through this meditation. I'd now like to welcome Osa Arkin, Joan Deppe, and Geni Stevens alongside Cetacea, an earth treasure vase dedicated to our whale relatives, these ancient beings that hold the memory of song and of deeply complex social and emotional systems of relating, similar to the way that First Nations people walk upon this earth, and that the memory of our oneness with Gaia invites us to embody our own belonging to the land where we inhabit and the people that nourish our lives. And so come on in, Osa. Let us hear from you and Cetacea.
Great, thank you. We're going to be pretty brief so that there's as much time as possible left for you all to offer blessings, words, etc. For Cetacea. And if we start to run out of time, then also I think what's been done before is you can type into the chat blessings, and then we can get a copy of that and we can put it in the basket with Cetacea for the burial, just in case time seems to be running out for you and you need to leave to go on. So I'm just going to, my story has already been here once before a year ago. So I don't feel the need to say a whole lot about me, except that I want to put forth, if I can find it, the intentions that I originally wrote for the vase. And also then I wanted to say that the vase is also full of all these intentions that all the people in the groups that I did in the year before she went to the Cape, they placed their intentions of what they would do for the whales, for the ocean ecosystem, so that it became kind of not just this is what I hope for, but this is what I'm going to do. God darn it. So the original intentions were honoring the sacred presence of whales, large and small, and the ecosystems they move through on this planet we all share. May we know these beings as family. And to healing the wounds humans have caused in the lives of whales, as we shifted from recognizing them as wise and gentle relatives to hunting them to the brink of extinction and poisoning the food and the water which sustains them. May we see the end of abuse and murder in the waters and repair the harms of pollution. And finally, the intention to bring humans back into right relationship with whales, to embrace these great ones who live in the water realm as beings at least as deserving of life, liberty, and the expression of happiness through their song, water dance, breaching, jumps, and fin slaps. May we learn from them. So due to something that happened in my life, I was not able to do the burial last year at this time, but happily, in not doing that, Geni and Joan appeared out of the great universe to be East Coast sisters of Cetacea. So Cetacea went from here in New Mexico to Geni in Falmouth of Cape Cod, and I will let her take over from here.
Thank you so much, Osa, for bringing Cetacea as far as you did and seating her within our collective intentions for the benefit of all those whales and ocean beings. Yeah. Hi, Geni.
I should have known you all because I've been living in Santa Fe since 1993. But I didn't come upon you, Cynthia, until I came to Cape Cod in March 2020, and immediately got the original COVID, wild COVID, and I then got long COVID. And I'm originally from Cape Cod. And so I ended up staying here on Cape Cod on and off. I've been here now for almost, over 4 years. That journey has been an extraordinary one. And the journey that brought me to Cape Cod when I was 2 years old, brought me into deep trauma and into a life situation, back to life situation. And after that, because I was living here as a little being and wandering around in the salt marshes, the warm, tepid, beautiful salt marshes full of extraordinary beings like horseshoe crabs and hermit crabs, I felt very clearly that they were my family. I actually thought that they were my family. And I did feel that Mama Ocean was my mother. So I grew up quite a bit by the ocean and felt very strongly also about the whales. So when I came back here in March 2020, because my mother was in the home hospice and became ill, I went through a massive, massive crucible transition. And that included finding Cynthia and the full moon meditations and Osa and the vase. And that called to me very much because of Osa's, why Osa was drawn to this particular intention was something that I was very already connected to. So that's what brought me to Osa. And I'll say now that I'm on the Wampanoag land, which is currently occupied by Wampanoag people, 4,000 to 5,000 people of the light. And I am very aware of the Wampanoag people's connection also with the whales. And right now we've reached out to Wampanoag folks and haven't been able to connect verbally with them, but I believe that we'll have that connection before the burial. I also know that whale beings are extremely present in these waters right now. And I just had friends who went on a whale watch. Actually, there was a group of climate scientists and artists coming together who went on a whale watch 2 days ago. And the whale watch captain said he'd never seen so many whales in the water at this time in this location, all different species. So I believe this is an auspicious time. They're here eating, actually. They're eating and feeding as fast as they can. They've had their babies. They're here with their babies. and then they're going to move a little further north. But it's a wonderfully auspicious time to do the burial. So Joan and I connected, and I'll let Joan take on the story from there. But that's my connection with this location and with the whales and with Osa and all of you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geni.
Greetings. So I was the very fortunate person who was the third person to be a co-steward starting in December. And as I've written, it's been this extraordinary experience on so many different levels. I really appreciate so many people that are here tonight, and of course, my co-creators, and I'm so glad we're all going to be finally getting together physically after connecting over the air for this past year. When we do come together in 2 weeks to finally bury her. And I know she's going to be really happy to see both of you as well as the ocean again. Cetacea loves the ocean, and the first night that I received her, the elements just exploded all night. The winds blew. I just loved the descriptions, Olivia, and just your descriptions about the wind, how that came up, and your whole description about the full body experience. All of the intentions and love that has been poured in to her and is just so strong. Other people, my relatives, I have some distant relatives on the Cape that have been there for generations, and they've held her and have been astounded at just the power of this little vase. And I am sure it is her connection, of course, with these amazing, mysterious creatures that our Indigenous relatives are aware of, how powerful and what a connected, wise beings they are. Anyway, I'm just excited from this evening, so I won't go on anymore, but just to say I'm very excited that we will be together bringing her to the place on the Cape in this month, and here she is. Thank you all.
Thank you, Joan. It's so good to see you in Cetacea, and I'd like to welcome you to open her up so that we can now have a moment to welcome the field of our Sangha in this moment and offer a rain of blessings to fill her up even further as she reaches her point of continuation and the fulfillment of her sacred work. And so now our circle is open, that we may share our blessings and offerings into Cetacea. And if you have reflections or any blessings as well for the British Columbia Vase, whatever is true and good and alive in your heart right now to offer into these vases, please, the circle is open and we welcome you to share your voices at this time.
If you'd like to speak, you can either unmute yourself and we'll take just a few unmuted at a time, one by one, or raise your hand, which can be found at the bottom of the screen.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Russell. Hello, everyone. As always, it's just such a joy to be here. And I loved hearing the story of the British Columbia vase. And when we were in Washington, we were very aware that it was happening simultaneously, the burial. And I was amazed at the synchronicities between the two buryings and burials, and also the picture where you buried it looks so similar to where we were, you know, with just the green and the forest and everything. It was so lovely. So thank you all for doing that. And tonight I was called to turn on my globe. This is a globe of the planet, and well, it doesn't show up too well, but you know, just looking at it and all the places that little clay pots are buried, you know, and this lights up. And so I thought I need to spend more time just lighting my globe and feeling the mandala and resisting the urge to start marking where everything is, because I don't really want to mark up my globe. But what I want to offer is I have a fossilized whale ear.
Oh, yeah.
And I held it during the meditation. And what I want to offer is the deep listening that we have for the whales. You know, I feel like we owe the whales so much, you know, and I think about them often and I pray for them. And I'm just so glad that this vase exists and that we can offer our blessings to Mama Ocean and the whales, and may they flourish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Hi, Kathy, come in.
Yeah, on Saturday, I think it was Saturday, April 20th, I went out on my porch and with my native style flute and played a song along with a lot of birds. I recorded it and asked, it was an intention to send it into the vase, the BC vase. And I thought, wonder how that's going to happen. And all right about then, this wind from the southeast came across the porch, headed your direction. So I am trusting that the elements got it into the vase before it was buried. And it was just so much fun. I think I might stay open to doing it for every vase that gets buried from now on. And as soon as I figure out the technology and do a little editing, I'll upload a link to wherever I put it on Gaia Mandala's website so that everybody can hear what happened.
We look forward to it, Kathy. Thank you. Please do share where you're calling us from. It's always special to hear where in the mandala, where in this radiant web you are on.
And if you don't know how to raise your hand, just go ahead and unmute yourself on the bottom left corner of the screen. The Zoom screen is a mute button or an unmute button. So that's
Can you
probably
hear
good.
me?
Yep, we'll take you one by one. So Rasul, I'll let you do that part.
Yep, hear you, Shane.
Oh, hello. Yeah, grateful to be a part of the ceremony today. Thank you. I'm just going back. I was sitting in a much more beautiful place originally, but I'm just back in a car park at the moment. But I wanted to share. I wrote something. I'd like to offer support to everyone all over the world to break free from the current worldly conditions and to find time to connect deeply into the space of unconditional love. I'm here in Brisbane, Australia, and I was sitting in the botanical gardens underneath the 140-year-old kauri tree, and it was planted in 1884. I was born in 1984, and I only discovered that it was 140 years old after the meditation. Somehow just was drawn to that spot. So I'll send you all a photo of that tree, and that's what I would like to offer today. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this.
Wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much. Great to meet you, Shane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Laura Lynn, you come in.
Good evening on this Wesak beautiful full moon night. I am caretaking my mother in Lafayette, Colorado, which is a little bit east of Boulder, where I usually am. And I am just so moved as a person who is Mekanak Todem or Turtle Clan to speak on their behalf into Cetacea of the turtles' gratitude for everything that the whales do for all of the other sea creatures and sea life. And my prayers are that they may always remain with us and their numbers may be steady, healthy populations, no matter what species of whale, in acknowledgement of everything they do as a keystone species, as elders and caretakers of their realm of the water element. I just never really thought until tonight about how much they do for all of the other ocean beings and really how much love all the fish and everyone in their realm just love those whales so much, as well as we do here. So many blessings for their continued health and population growth in a good way, and blessings to the people who are stewarding and bringing her on June 5th to that base to go into the earth and be even further connected. Thanks for that. And I would like to say a huge chimagwich to Maggie and Olivia. That was a beautiful presentation of your journey. And I feel so thrilled that that vase that was on my altar and prayed with when it was in Boulder with me. And I was so grateful that that actual vase that went into the ground on behalf of the residential students was the reason that I was brought into the treasure vase practice in the first place. And to see how it went from my altar in the beautiful way that it did, it's just such a confirmation that I don't even have words for, but it's really good. And so I'm so grateful for the generous hearts that you ladies have, and the carefulness and the care and the gathering of so much else that is like the specific thing you're praying for with the residential schools. That's one facet of many, and you were able to embody a multiplied, magnified healing for all that is like the residential schools that has happened everywhere on the planet. And you ladies are so beautiful, and I'm so there in spirit with you continually. And just so filled with gratitude for everyone here in this circle. Many blessings to everyone. Chimagwich Balameye.
So good to hear from you.
Hi, Kat.
Hello, everybody. Yes, thank you so much to Olivia and Maggie for that beautiful sharing of that incredible journey. And there's just so much to it, so many blessings and openings and understandings, and may it continue. And for Cetacea, I wanted to share an experience I had just briefly. And some years ago, I was in San Diego and I went on a whale watch, and I was lucky that I was in a very small boat. It was like 12 people or 15 people, and it was very low to the water. And we went out on this boat, and a whale came up next to the boat, right next to me, turned on its side, and shook and looked in my eyes with its eye. And looking into the whale eye, I just want to put into that vase to that we can dive into the eye of the whale. That there is a well, a deep well in that eye. And it's that deep well in silence. And so one part of the whale, I think, is the music, the song that it brings into the ocean and into our hearts. And everything about a whale is so ancient and so deep and so profound. And so I just want to put that well of the eye. Mm-hmm. And it also brought up for me that we humans, may we look into each other's eyes. Mm. May we look deeply into each other's eyes, because the eyes truly are the window of the soul. Mm.
Thank you so much, Kat. May it be so. Shalom, am I saying your name right? Where are you calling us in from?
Hello, everyone. I'm calling from outside a little village called High Falls in the Mid-Hudson River Valley area. I'm in the woods. And I pray with flute. And so, if I may, I would offer just a very short prayer with the flute.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel inspired by you, feeling gratitude in my heart for this expression of love, of communion, communing with this instrument that was crafted to sing to creation and to express your heart song. And so into Cetacea and into the BC vase, I extend a seed of celebration for the filament, for the bright, radiant filament of life that courses through all beings, including finned and feathered ones, that jumps up to sing, to be alive. Just that seed of joy, that seed of knowing the miracle that is alive, and to commune with creation itself as it pours through each of us. Thank you.
I'm seeing Darlene, your mic is open. Would you like to share something?
Thank you. I was moved to actually bring this piece. I'm joining you from British Columbia in the Okanagan Valley, which we haven't had any rain. And as we were having this gathering, we had thunder and lightning and a downpour of rain, and we're very grateful. So the water is speaking to us, and we're listening. I lived for many years in Indigenous communities, and in the late 70s, I had the rare pleasure of living in a little Inuit community on the Arctic coast. And a narwhal washed up on the shore and died there. And the people felt it was a gift to them. And I was given this gift from its tusk of a beautiful carving done by one of the carvers. I don't know if you can see it, but each piece is of the narwhal, and it's put together with sinew from the whale. And the carver put in many of the special sacred things to them of the land to honor the narwhal and to honor the connection of people to the waters and to all life. And so you may not see it, but there's a polar bear, and there's many things. There's fish in this piece that he carved. And I'm just reminded of the connectedness between us in all things. And this piece represents that to me of life. And the beauty of that relationship. And so what I would like to offer the vase is, both vases actually, is this beautiful narwhal who gave its life, the end of its life, and is represented in art for all people to celebrate that interconnectedness. And and it just wanted to come and be part of the vases. So it's coming from both the traditions of Indigenous and also from the oceans and the narwhal. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Darlene. It's wonderful to make that connection so directly. Really appreciate it. We have about 10 minutes left and would love to hear from as many of you as feel to share in these last 10 minutes. So please either unmute yourself or raise your hand.
I can share. I'm Caraway, and I'm currently on the Salish Sea in Puget Sound in Edmonds, Washington. And both of these vases spoke so much to me tonight, especially for the whales. Really, both of them very much, but for the whales, a lot is coming through my heart. I've had the opportunity to work with totem animals in the directions, and my animal that always speaks to me in the below is whale. And when I do grounding meditation, one of my teachers has us connecting into what she says, the great crystal at the heart of the earth. And in the great crystal, I always see whales swimming in the crystal. And also, especially for the past month or so that I've been here on the Salish Sea, when I do a heart meditation in the mornings, there's a orca mother and baby in my meditation that comes. And I'm just so grateful to the whales for being a source of connection whenever I feel unstable, and for the beauty and the wisdom that they bring. And just such a heartfelt prayer for their well-being and for their thriving, and that their numbers may grow. And it was so beautiful to hear about the place where there's more whales now than have been seen before. I want to put that in too. And yeah, just really honoring the Indigenous people's connection with this land and this water and all of the beings. And just pray that all of us can learn from that honoring and that history. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to be a part of this tonight.
Thank you, Kara Wayseed. Really appreciate that. It brings me to a story, actually. I've had the good fortune of being able to offer the vase to many animals around the planet, actually. And I've offered them to the white lions in South Africa to receive their roars. And I've offered it to the gorillas in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the elephants also in South Africa, who brought their babies to us when the treasure vase was open. There's just so many. And one time I was swimming in a place called Kealakekua Bay in Hawaii on the Big Island. And I was with my husband, and it's a place where whales and dolphins come in to rest. It's a really protected bay, and it started with him swimming with a pod of dolphins. I was there, but he was really with them, and they were coming up to him with a leaf on the fin, and they would go like this, and they would toss it in the water, and then he would grab it, and then he would throw it, and then they would come along and catch it at that other fin, and then they played this game. It was just amazing to watch. And I love to swim, and I swam way out across the bay, and there was nobody else around, and I suddenly started hearing this or sensing really this sound, this feeling and this sound, this presence, and I didn't know what it was, and I was all alone, and I was, I had my fins and my snorkel and everything, and it just kept growing stronger, and I thought, yeah, well, maybe I just better turn around and go back. And when I turned around, this whale it was a humpback, and it dove, and its tail went down just like from here to there, that close to me. And I just was like, oh my God. I was just, even now every time I tell the story, I get goosebumps, because it was such a close encounter. And I know that whale was just with me and had been with me, and I feel such a love and connection and power of the whales from that encounter, and from other encounters that I've had with whales over the years too, and all the animals. And I'm just so grateful that you stepped forward in this way, Osa, and Joan, and I keep losing all of the names. I'm so sorry. I have trouble tracking everyone in the circle sometimes. But it's just amazing. Geni, there you are. I feel such a kinship with all of you for having stepped forward in this way. And I know Julian Silburn, thank you so much for the way in which you brought the sound of the whales to us tonight. At first it was like, is that wolves howling or is it what? And then as you toned down and as the whale sound came forward, it was just like such a gift to integrate the beautiful sounds. And I always have the feeling of both the whales and the elephants having such an important role to play. All beings, right? All beings have an important role to play. But the whales in the oceans and the elephants on the walking of the land the way they do, balancing the harmonies of the web of life. I feel these animals do that. So let's offer our prayers for the balancing of the harmonies of the web of life, that our relations in the oceans and on land and all of these ways contribute, and really offer them our commitment for their protection and our oneness with them. What would we be without them? So thank you so much, all of you. And of course, Olivia and Maggie, for bringing the healing to the indigenous cultures in your part of the world and through your part of the world to all over the planet where such genocide and horror has been inflicted. No more. Let's have that be no more. None of these things will continue as we go forward. So let's strengthen our commitment and our prayers to be part of a new way of living in harmony with all beings on this planet Earth, this beautiful water planet. Thank you. I know it's top of the hour, but I think we have a few more to go here, Rasul, starting with you, Wendy.
I'll be brief. Beautiful, beautiful ceremonies tonight from BC and for Cetacea. And so much, Cynthia, of what you say. My experience was with gray whales from little Zodiac boats off the coast of the Broken Islands, which is off the west coast of British Columbia, and to have one rise right there where I could put my hand down on the barnacle, and then that eye-to-eye contact. And I don't think we ever forget that. And I just would love to put into the Station Vase, a plea forgiveness on behalf of humanity for the travesties of the whales, of course, all beings, but in this case, the whales, and just end with these poetic words of, in oceanic canvas we wander, forevermore soaring creative, greenwood drips from quill, watchful of whales who whisper. Gather words for fair voyagers who speak of sorrows across the centuries. Remember, ancestors. With lute at hand, rhythmic poetry deepen oceanic tears for the fallen years of our lives. Guide us in understanding along moons of nomadic ocean. Elder whales are watchful. And may they always be watchful. Thank you. Aho.
Thank you, dear Wendy. I'd love it if you could share these words, these poetic words, deeply meaningful words on the mandala for us. Yeah, thank you so much. Just one more jewel in the treasure chest that you bestow onto us. Thank you. And so now we will gather up all of this beauty, all of this steadfast devotion, all of these decades and particularly our time together this evening, riding on the waves of the power of presence that lends to liberation, the life of the Buddha and the energies here, and what we have cultivated during our time together, with the following dedication of merit. For as long as earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may these earth treasure vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Through the merits of this practice, may all beings realize their inseparability with Gaia and all life upon her, living in peace and harmony. May there be no more war or conflict, and may all hearts be filled with compassion.
Alalaho, everyone. Many, many blessings as we feel and sense and intend for the ripples to go out endlessly, back and forth endlessly from our hearts out into the world in all the ways that are called for. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us, for staying with us, for contributing your intentions for the best of all beings for this, in this time of collective awakening that we're part of. So to be continued. We hope to see you next month. We'll be in touch via the newsletter with the plans for next month, and on and on and on. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Until next month, and until tomorrow for those who are joining us on the Gaia Mandala. It's a place where we gather, where we continue distilling and receiving from these calls. So if you're on there, you can join us there tomorrow or any day thereafter.
Offering more prayers, more intentions, more offerings. And let's not forget to go outside and put our bodies under the light of the moon, wherever we are. Take care, everybody.